بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته and welcome to our latest session on the refinement of souls of the great Imam, the Gnostic, the scholar Ibn Atā'illah al-Sikandari rahimahullah ta'ala, who has been taking us through a spiritual journey and moving forward to some more practical steps, more application of the advice and the guidance of self-purification and rectification of our hearts and our inner characteristics. So he talks now about wisdom, and wisdom, he says, is like a chain, meaning if you have the chain on and it chains you down, then it controls you and it regulates you and it allows you to be wise, it allows you to be correct in your behavior, to have propriety. Whereas, and he mentions, if you have a madman and you don't put him in chains, he's going to go crazy and savage and so forth. And put the chains on and you have control. So wisdom is like a chain that restrains and allows you to do what is right and avoid what is wrong. And then he says, a beautiful analogy he gives is, he says, oh Shaykh, you have wasted your life, so amend what you have missed. You have worn white, which is your white hair, and whiteness should not bear dirt, meaning you've worn white, and if you wear white and there's dirt, it doesn't look nice. So you change, or you put a new garment on, or you clean yourself. So your white hair represents that purity. When you get older, it's a reminder that you shouldn't be full of sins. You shouldn't be someone of bad behavior. You shouldn't be in the wrong places. You should now start to, if you haven't already done so, become someone of change. Become somebody who realizes where things are going wrong. Somebody who realizes how to improve oneself. So be ashamed that if you have grey hair that you're still doing sins and you're still blemishing yourself. Then he says the heart is like a mirror and the self is like a breath, the nafs. So the heart and the self talked about struggle against each other. So the nafs, the ego, breathes on the heart. When it breathes, it affects the heart. It clouds the mirror of the heart. When you breathe into a mirror, you don't see clearly anymore. So every time you breathe onto the mirror, it is clouded. Every time you breathe onto the mirror, it is clouded. Then he says the heart of the profligate is like the mirror of a decrepit old woman. So this furthering the analogy, he says that if somebody is old, like an old lady for instance, then she doesn't look in the mirror often. Why? Because time's gone for beauty, time's gone for makeup and this, that, the other, and outward appearances, right? It's not the case anymore. It says the heart of the profligate, so of the sinner, of the one who's heedless, etc., is like the mirror of a decrepit old woman whose aspiration has grown too weak to polish the look into it. It's not, doesn't bother anymore, right? Don't be somebody of disobedience, of heedlessness. In contrast, heart of the Gnostic. So contrast the different hearts of people. Some hearts are like decrepit old women, they can't be bothered and they don't want to polish and clean. The mirror is just going to be neglected. But the heart of the one close to Allah, the one who wants to become aware of his Lord and worship his Lord, further his spirituality, is the mirror of the bride. She looks into it every day and therefore it remains polished and clean. And the mirror remains clean. If there's anything on the mirror, it'll get cleaned because it's used day after day. And this is the heart of the one who wants to improve himself and get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You always look at the heart, you always look at what's happening and you try and improve and develop and move forward, inshallah ta'ala. So how do you cleanse this heart? What is the cleansing process? It says the aspiration of those who renounce, who leave this world, is to profusely do good deeds, while the aspiration of the Gnostics is to correct their states. So both are good levels. So we want to get away from the dunya, we do good acts, and we try and be active in our worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those who have aspirations of becoming close to Allah, who want to get to know Allah further and not just get away from the dunya, then they look at their hearts. Like, what heart is it I'm presenting to Allah? What state of heart is it that Allah sees in me when I worship? And not just merely the dunya, I'm getting away with worship, but now the worship is taking me to Allah. Where is my heart with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So this now relationship is something that the Gnostic, the one who's furthering his spiritual journey, thinks about. And there are 4 things that will help you in cleansing your heart. 4 things now, 4 practical pieces of advice for us to act upon, inshallah ta'ala. Number 1, frequent remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-dhikr, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. As the Prophet ﷺ did on a daily basis, I seek refuge from Allah 100 times a day, the Prophet said. He was sinless, but he was showing us what to do. Whoever says subhanallah bihamdi, subhanallah al-azim 100 times, then his sins will be forgiven, even if they're of the form of the sea. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah is a kanzun min tahta kunuz al-arsh, it's a treasure from below the arsh of ar-Rahman, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And every dhikr has its reward, has its blessing. The salawat and the Prophet ﷺ, whoever prays on me 1 salah, 1 prayer, Allah sends down upon him 10 blessings and 10 prayers, subhanAllah, 10 ranks are raised, 10 sins are forgiven. So increase in these adhkar, these litanies, these recitals. The Prophet used to recite Surah Yasin, Surah Mulk in the evenings, Surah Waqi'ah in the evening, the Qul Wallahu Ahad, Qul A'udhu bi Rabbil Falaq, and Qul A'udhu bi Rabbin Nas in the morning and evening and after every prayer. Ayatul Kursi, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum, after every prayer. And if you're somebody who's listening and doesn't have these surahs or passages of the Quran memorized or is not actively fluent in them, then this is the time now to start, because these are some of the core sunnahs of guidance, sunnatul huda, the sunnah of guidance of the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet did a lot of things for us, and some of them are for us as Muslims to practice and gain rewards. And some of the things he did ﷺ were just merely from his time, his place, and everyday activities, which also will get rewarded if we follow with love and we follow with. So for instance, he ﷺ liked particular food. You don't have to do that because everyone has their own taste. But if you do that, look for the Prophet ﷺ, it's a reward to eat the food he ate. He wore obviously a particular type of clothing which was cultural and just Islamically valid, and obviously what the Prophet wore was Islam itself. But doesn't mean we have to wear those clothes as a sunnah muakkada or sunnah that's of guidance. But if we do out of love, then we will get that, inshallah ta'ala. So we need to do the acts of sunnah the Prophet actually gave us as acts that Muslims should be doing in every time, age, situation. And remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our topic now, our first practical advice, comes at the top of that list. If you look at the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, one of the majority of the sunnah is actually remembrance of Allah. It's dhikr when you leave turn to Allah when you leave the home, turn to Allah when you come back home. When you go on a journey, there's a dua, a supplication. When you are going to bed, there's a supplication. When you wake up, there's a supplication. When you go to the bathroom and relieve yourself and you come out, there's a supplication for. And there's an etiquette from the sunnah as well. These are what we need to apply. These are remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you put on your clothes and so forth. So almost every situation you could find some level of guidance from the Prophet ﷺ that is Islamic guidance for every Muslim, and not just merely a habit of the Prophet ﷺ which would be good to follow but not necessarily required or emphasized. These are all emphasized and very important to follow, and if you can follow more out of love and reverence, then that's a blessing as well. Number 2, constant silence. So if you're not doing the remembrance of Allah, don't get involved in too much talk. Just as the desire of the stomach to eat, there's also a desire of the ego and the tongue to talk, and talking in itself is a blemish to the soul. So if you want spiritual progress, silence has to come in its heaps. Seclusion, so being away from people, doesn't mean here being alone and away and lonely and feeling lonely. It means to get away from distractions, get away from negative influences, seclude yourself from the dunya. So if you're at home with family and you're having family time, that's fine. It doesn't mean seclude yourself from your family. If you have a good group of friends, good company comes into this and you're around them, doesn't mean you move away from those people. Be in good company, be in good environments, but seclude and withdrawal of yourself from negative, evil places that will push you towards sin or negligence towards Islamic morals and values and towards your prayers and duties as a Muslim. So this is a major step that we need to take. And the 4th thing mentioned here out of the 4 things is eating and drinking little. So we said that controlling the tongue, controlling the stomach and the desires of the stomach. These are 4 major ways of spiritual development and cleansing the heart. because intake of food or overeating and just generally concentrating on eating and making it a major thing in life clouds the heart, the mind. Even intelligence is reduced or slowed down by overeating and so forth. So the right diet is very beneficial for us, not just health wise but spirituality wise and intellectually. Food and diet are very important, and spiritually we have to think of that as well. And then he mentions a beautiful point here, thinking, and he asks the question, we can ask the question to everyone out there: what do you think of when you wake up in the morning? What is your goal at the beginning of your day? So he says, when the oblivious wake up, they examine their wealth. Everyone thinks of something. He calls them people, general folk, oblivious, because most of the time we get up, we think of, what have I got to do today? What jobs have I got? Have I got a deal? Have I got what I'm expecting? Money, this, that, the other, business. Those who renounce this world, the Zahideen, those who are not interested in the world, what do they think of? And worship Allah, examine their states. How am I doing today? How is my heart? How is how is my worship? States here means how is my worship? How is my trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And those who have gnosis of Allah examine their hearts, i.e. their attachment to Allah Himself, not their state, how am I doing, but how am I doing with my attachment to Allah. Similarly to before, the people of worship, when they the people who renounce this world, they do lots of good deeds. The people who want to get close to Allah think about their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how to correct their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Similarly, those who wake up not wanting to be part of this world but actually build their akhirah. Not be part of this world doesn't mean we shun the world as in we don't do anything. We shun the desires of this world. We get involved in our jobs and our lives, but the focus is the akhirah. The focus is actually how to be a good person, how to help people in society, be productive, yes, contribute, yes, positive life, good life, based on Islamic values and morals. And that therefore is the goal of such people, right? And further that, on top of that, keeping that in mind and going further, how to actually now build a stronger relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's not a breath that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings forth from you, be it an act of worship, illness, poverty, any situation, except that He wants to test you. He wants to put you through an experience. Through that, whoever seeks this world by means of the hereafter is like someone who takes a spoon made of ruby, of special stones, and then starts scooping filth up with it. Right? It's not what you do. You'd call this person foolish. Do not think that people have been merely deprived of knowledge. More than that, they have been deprived of divine guidance, of tawfiq. So don't just think that there's no knowledge in these people. If they had divine sort of tawfiq and guidance, and they had just been in the right place at the right time, they would have got the knowledge. They would have got the wake-up call. They would have made a change. So turn to Allah, in other words, and always ask Allah to give you, because it's not your knowledge that saves you, it's Allah's divine providence. The first thing that you should cry over is your lack of intelligence. Just as drought occurs in pastures, so too they occur in the minds of men, meaning drought of the heart. We don't cry out of a remorse and out of need to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't think of how lacking our hearts are of the remembrance of Allah, of obedience to Allah, of reflection itself. So don't make your heart dry and drought. Give it life by remembering Allah. Give it life by reflecting and thinking about life and the Creator and the next life and where we're heading for. Actually, just do that. Just think. Even if you're not going to practically take any steps right now, right as you're listening, you can start thinking. You can start reflecting and examining what is there to come and what is there I need to do and what is that I'm falling short in. It is a feeling of some level of remorse right now. That is a excellent starting step, inshallah. And I think that's where we should leave it today, on a starting step for everyone, just to start thinking of life and the purpose of life and where we're all heading. We all have one destination. We all got different journeys to that destination. We're all returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What have I done? Where am I right now in this journey? Am I on the path? Am I off the path? Am I in danger? Am I around the right people? Am I doing the right things in my life? Where are we in our lives? Where are you in your life? Let's just reflect for today and take some of those steps as well. Yes, some practical steps have been given for us today. I think the first step for everyone is to start thinking, and then maybe moving on to those practical steps of the remembrance of Allah, trying to establish a prayer, or two prayers, or all our prayers, purification, knowledge, learning, company, being around the right people, maybe picking up a book on Islamic discourse, whether it's this book, Refinement of Souls, or Imam Ibn Atā'illah, al-Sikandari, or whether it's a book on the life of the Prophet ﷺ, a very inspirational topic, a very amazing topic to read about, highly recommended to all of you to learn about the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. What did he do, and how did he bring Islam to the Muslims, and the struggles and sacrifices, so much we could read about his characteristics, the shama'il, and so forth. What was he like at home? What was his physical description, etc., etc. So much to learn about our Prophet ﷺ. Alhamdulillah, is a blessing for us, ﷺ. And we should learn more about him. You could pick a book of hadith and learn some sayings of the Prophet ﷺ, some guidance. So much to do for us, and so much steps we can take. But the first step is always to make the intention, is always to have a reflection that brings about an internal change, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah bless you all, and thank you for being a part of these sessions and listening in. And hopefully you're benefiting, and please keep us in your du'as. And many thanks to the Imam Ghazali Institute, the directors and management team, and everyone supporting the Institute and all Islamic activities. May Allah bless everyone's efforts. We need more proactivity, we need more activism, we need more intelligent and wise planning. And may Allah give tawfiq to the Imam Ghazali Institute and similar organizations to serve the Muslim Ummah and the world at large through their publications, through their online courses, through their in-person courses, seminars, events, retreats and trips. Allah bless you all. Thank you to you once again for being a part of this. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.